Chapter 3 gets into the management side of a project, which we'll cover more in depth in CTS 240. For now, let's look at an overview of what project managers go through when steering a project from start to finish. First off, let's start by defining a project. That term is thrown around a lot, but what exactly is a project? Simply put, a project is a planned set of activities with a defined beginning and end. Compare this to maintenance activities, like you would see in typical IT departments. Upgrading computers, whether it be their operating system or internal components, is more of a maintenance or support activity. In the grand scheme of things, the task at hand is to keep computer equipment running, and doing these kinds of maintenance tasks contribute to that goal. A project is more of a one-of-a-kind activity. If you need to overhaul a network by putting in new servers, run new fiber optic lines, and change out some of the business applications to meet new company guidelines, then that's more of a project. You have a beginning and an end goal, and the collection of activities is a one-of-a-kind event. You don't overhaul your entire IS on a regular basis, and even if you needed to overhaul everything again in a few years, you'll probably have different hardware and software in mind. Project managers manage projects. This means that from start to finish, PMs have a responsibility to make sure that a project stays focused and reaches its end goal. There are 4 phases a PM goes through during a project: initiating, planning, executing, and closing. Typically, a project starts with an idea to either address a current business problem or to try something new. This may vary from company to company, but this kind of request is documented and reviewed by a committee or an individual. Once the request is reviewed and accepted, a project can start. In the initiation phase, the project team is assembled, the PM is chosen, and the rules of the project are established. These rules may include how the chain of command is laid out, a list of team members and their responsibilities, and any major constraints such as budget or schedule. A lot of this information is codified in a document called the project charter. After initiation, the planning phase starts with a detailed look at the project itself. During this phase, the project's goals are refined into a scope statement. There are also a lot of different planning documents developed at this point. There's a plan for communicating among team members, a plan for making changes to a project, a plan for requesting materials or resources, and many others that might or might not apply to the project specifically. While this may seem excessive, it's important to make sure that everyone is on the same page with how the development is going to proceed, and it's up to the PM to make sure this happens. Once all the planning is done, it's time to start the project in earnest. The execution phase is where much of the work gets done. Components are ordered, programmers start coding, IT staff starts putting together the infrastructure, testing occurs, and installation and implementation happens. A PM's job at this point is to make sure that things are happening on schedule and to address any problems that might arise. If modules don't work, then a PM may need to make changes to a project following the change management plan that was established in the planning phase. Or, if a project needs to order more materials, then a PM may need to follow the steps in the procurement plan to make sure they get the right material from the right vendor and pay with the right account. Once everything is implemented and working, a project can close down. This phase usually involves a lot of interviews with people to see what went right and where improvements can be made. All documentation is archived at this point, and any loose ends from the contract are tied up, if there was a contract in place at the beginning of the project. This is all great, but didn't we just talk about the SDLC? How does all of this fit in with those phases? The 2 sets of phases are complementary. They're just looking at things from different viewpoints. From a PM standpoint, there are different things that need to be taken care of, but taking a bird's eye view of the whole process, the phases of the SDLC shows what needs to happen to reach the end goal. There is some overlap as well. As a PM goes through the planning phase, the project is going through its planning, analysis, and design phases. As a project gets into the work in the implementation phase, the PM is monitoring progress and adapting to any changes in the executing phase. As the bulk of the work is completed and work shifts to maintenance of the system, a PM then moves to closing the project. Other development methodologies can be mapped in a similar way. The spiral model is a bit different because its planning phase is really a recurring one. A PM's planning phase is really just getting everything ready for a project to start its real work, and when it does, a PM's executing phase monitors the entire spiral effect. As the work concludes in the spiral, a PM's job is to wrap things up, make sure all documentation is good, and close out the contract. The bottom line is that these 2 sets of phases exist and progress simultaneously, regardless of what methodology is used for the actual project development.